You're holding a $200 sneaker. Now look inside. The leather, the stitching, the foam, everything it physically takes to build this shoe, all the parts and the labor to turn them into a shoe, lands somewhere around $15 to $30. So what exactly are the other $170 buying? Because the sneaker business isn't what it looks like. On the shelf, it looks like a war. Swoosh versus three stripes, a free market fighting for your feet. It isn't. Most of the shoes in your closet come from the same handful of factories, owned by a tiny number of companies, stitched by people you'll never meet for wages they can't comfortably live on. In the next 8 minutes, I'll show you who actually builds your shoes, why they cost what they cost, and the uncomfortable answer to one question. When you buy a sneaker, who really owns the thing on your foot? First, the players. Nike is the biggest sportswear company on earth, about $51 billion in sales in 2024. Adidas sits roughly half that size. How much of the market they actually control depends on who's counting. If you measure sneakers only, Nike is somewhere near 30 to 38%. If you measure all athletic gear, Euromonitor, the gold standard, puts Nike closer to 16%. Either way, the same story. Nike is number one, Adidas is a clear number two, and together, they own the shelf. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. Those brands fight hard in the showroom. They do not fight on the factory floor. To see why, you have to meet the company that actually builds most of those shoes. It's called Pu Chen. Pu Chen is a Taiwanese company founded in 1969. Through a subsidiary called Yuyuan, it is the largest manufacturer of athletic and casual footwear in the world, and its client list reads like a roll call of your closet. Nike, Adidas, Puma, New Balance, Converse, Asics, Reebok. The brands you think are mortal enemies, many of their shoes roll off the same production lines, built by the same workers in the same buildings. Let that land. One company alone can pump out over 300 million pairs a year and shipped more than 255 million pairs in 2024. Now zoom in on just Nike. In Nike's fiscal 2025, 51% of its footwear came from Vietnam, 28% from Indonesia, and 17% from China. 3 countries, a handful of contractors. That is the entire foundation of the global sneaker supply. So here's the reframe. When Nike and Adidas compete, they're really competing over marketing, over design, and over which logo gets stamped on a shoe that very often the same factory already built. So if they all come from the same place, why does one pair cost $50 and the one next to it cost $200? Hold that question. Let's cut the shoe in half again, this time financially. Nike has actually told us what it costs to build a shoe. At a footwear workshop, a Nike executive shared that the company's average landed cost to produce a $100 sneaker is about $28.50. $28.50. Materials, labor, factory overhead, shipping, and import duty, all in, under $30. Now follow the rest of the money. Roughly half the retail price goes to the store. The retailer's cut on a $100 shoe is about $50. After Nike pays for design, research and development, administration, and taxes, its net profit on that shoe is in the neighborhood of $4.50 to $5. So no, Nike is not quietly pocketing $95 in pure profit. The meme is wrong. But here's where the money actually goes. In fiscal 2024, Nike spent $4.3 billion on what it calls demand creation, advertising, endorsements, brand events. $4.3 billion. To put a finer point on it, Nike's yearly marketing budget absolutely dwarfs the labor that physically goes into the shoes it sells. So here's the uncomfortable reframe. When you pay $200, a big slice of what you're buying isn't leather or foam. It's the name on the side. And no name is worth more than Jordan's. Jordan Brand did about $7 billion in revenue in fiscal 2024, roughly 14% of Nike's entire business. Michael Jordan hasn't played an NBA game in over 20 years, but he reportedly takes around a 5% royalty on Jordan Brand sales, an estimated $300 million in a single year, and roughly $2.3 billion from Nike since 1984. That's more than his entire NBA playing salary. Note, the exact royalty percentage is not officially public. It's a widely cited industry estimate. So part of your $200 is helping fund a royalty check to a man who last laced them up in 2003. The shoe was always cheap. The story you're wearing, that's what costs $200. Which brings us back to the people who actually build the shoe, and the word that haunts this entire industry: sweatshop. In 1996, Life magazine published a photo of a 12-year-old boy in Sialkot, Pakistan, stitching a Nike soccer ball for about 60 cents a ball. It detonated a global scandal. A leaked 1997 audit of a Vietnamese Nike contractor found workers exposed to a toxic solvent at 177 times the safe limit, with nearly 80% of them suffering respiratory illness. Nike said it didn't control those factories, but it changed. It raised the minimum working age, helped create the Fair Labor Association, and began auditing suppliers in 2002. So, fixed? Not exactly. Conditions have genuinely improved since the 90s, and wages have risen. But in 2026, reporting found Nike's contractors in Indonesia still pay many workers around the minimum wage, as little as about $150 a month in some regions, around $200 in Vietnam. Adidas and Puma actually disclose more. Puma's Indonesian suppliers averaged about $208 a month. Labor groups argue these still fall short of a living wage, and recent investigations allege ongoing wage theft. Now, let's close the loop. Why does one shoe cost $50 and another $200? Because the $50 shoe and the $200 shoe cost almost the same to make. The difference is branding, scarcity, and a story you were sold. So, who actually owns your sneakers? Not you. You've leased a logo and a story. Not the worker. They're paid a small fraction of the retail price to physically build it. The real owners are the brand that designs it, the handful of mega contractors like Pu Chen that quietly monopolize production, and the marketing machine that convinced you it was worth $200. And the rivalry between Nike and Adidas? In large part, it's theater. They buy from the same suppliers, sell into the same stores, and lean on the same low-wage labor pool. There's one more owner you probably didn't expect: the reseller. The sneaker resale market is worth roughly $8 to $10 billion today, and it's projected to roughly triple by 2030. Sometimes the person who profits most from a shoe never works for the brand at all. So the next time someone flexes a $200 pair, remember what's really in them. About $30 of shoe, $50 of someone else's store, and over $100 of a story. If you want to understand more of the hidden economics behind the stuff you use every day, subscribe. I break down a different industry like this every week. And drop a comment telling me which product you want to see cut in half next. You already know what to do.